Hello everyone, this is Mr. Marr with my tutorial for Producer Challenge 1 Drum Type Variations. For this assignment, you're going to create 3 new Soundtrap projects based on each drum type that we've covered: acoustic, digital, and sample. There are a few different strategies for finding these types of drum sounds in Soundtrap, so let's get started. The first strategy that we're going to cover is using the loop library and just using your ears. So, we've learned a good amount about how to identify different drum styles by ear at this point. Make sure you're listening for clarity, for tone, and for if it has that realistic quality to it. To narrow down your search in the loop library, you can select drums, press the play button to preview. So there's a lot of different styles of drum sounds in here. You're definitely going to find all of the 3 types that we've covered so far. So you can just click through and see if you can identify what type a loop is and use that to start. So I'm going to just go somewhere in the middle, see if there's something maybe I haven't heard before. Let's see this one here. Cool. Okay. So this is a good example of a digital drum loop. Definitely, not an acoustic sound. So I'm going to call this PC1D for digital, and it's Producer Challenge 1, D for digital. So that's how you're going to start this. You can save, and I'm going to start a new project. So you could actually find all 3 of your drum patterns this way if you want. Just go click through and see if you can find something by ear that sounds like what you want it to sound like. Another strategy for finding your drum loops would be to use MIDI. We've learned already that MIDI is just a set of notes and rhythms. It's just data. It doesn't sound like anything until the computer makes it sound like something. So we can always change the sound of a MIDI loop. So what we're going to do in here is check for some drums like we did before. If you look at these icons, you'll notice that some of them are audio and some of them are MIDI. So if you see the little sound wave, that means it's an audio loop. And then if you see the music notes, that would be a MIDI loop. You can also narrow down your search even further by clicking MIDI. And now I just have all the MIDI drum loop options. So I'm going to click through a few of these and see if I can find something I like. Starting out as more of like an acoustic type sound. I'm going to add this. And now if I click the show instrument button, I can see the patch library here. So if you click that, that's what opens this up. You can see that there are 3 different categories of drum sounds: kits, machines, and processed. Those are very similar to how I've been describing it with acoustic, digital, and sampled. Kits would be your acoustic sound, so that was like if you have a drum kit. Machines would be digital, so this has more actual drum machine type sounds, not just kind of digital computer sounds too. And then processed is like sampled, which is like a kind of like an acoustic sound, but it's been altered in some way, and it just sounds different. So I'm going to click out and play this track so I can hear how I'm changing the sound. I think I'm going to switch this to a digital sound. See what that sounds like. That's pretty cool. So I realized that I already did a digital loop, so let me do a process sound for this one. Pretty aggressive sounding. It sounds like there might be some distortion on that or something along those lines. So that sounds great. I'm going to stick with that. And for your beats, you can use either strategy to find all 3 of your beats. If you want to just listen through and see if you can find all 3 by ear, or if you want to use MIDI and select your drum type that way. It's up to you. Next, we're going to be adding chord loops to each of our drum patterns. All right, so for the second step, we're going to be adding chord loops. I'm going to do this step with the sampled project that I started earlier. Had an interesting tempo that doesn't get used a lot, so I figured it might come up with something interesting. So you're just going to search for chords, just like we have done in the past. Yeah, and since I'm at this really fast tempo, everything sounds a little different than it usually does. See, that's a little more of a melody. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. So I've got my chords set, and one thing to point out, whenever you add a like a tonal loop, so that would be a chord, melody, any of those kind of instrumental patterns, vocal patterns, it's going to set a key for your project. So right now I have a key, it's right here at the bottom, so that is the next step, which is to set your scale in the loop library to match your key. This is a very important step. You need to do this every time, or your patterns might not match. So if I click this here, I can see that my key is E flat major. The important thing to know right now is it's in a major key. So I'm going to click over here and set the scale to major. Next step is to add a melody, riff, or vocal loop. I'm going to add a melody for this beat. Let's see what I can find here. I think I have my patterns. So I kind of did a mix of different sounds. The piano is kind of like acoustic, but also kind of that processed sample type sound. Drums are a heavy metal pattern, but with kind of more of a sample type drum quality. And then there's this synth melody. So the last step you're going to take is to mix them to make sure that they're all blended well together. So to do that, you're going to turn everything down first, and then blend your melody first to make sure that that's going to be the strongest part of your track. Again, if your meter is working, you want to make sure this doesn't go past this line into where it would be clipping. After this, I'm going to see if we're going to blend the drums in. Pretty heavy drum pattern, so I want to make sure it's not too loud. And then my chord pattern. There you go. So I feel like if I were going to make this into a full track, it would definitely need some bass. There's a little bit of kind of lower frequency stuff the piano's doing, but not enough to really fill it out. But it is a pretty interesting kind of beat starter, and that's the purpose of this assignment. So when you're adding in your chords and your melody, you can mix and match, different types of styles. It could be mixing acoustic with, synthesizers, with sampled. All of these things get done in music today, so you're free to do whatever you want. The most important thing is that you always set your scale to match your key. If you don't take this step, it's very, very possible that your patterns will not blend well together, that the patterns will not line up, it'll sound bad. You don't want that to happen. So make sure you do that every single time. It's a very important step. And at this point, you're done. So then you would share all 3 projects with me just by clicking the share button here, type in my account, which is BMAR, and then submit in Google Classroom. And that's it. It's Producer Challenge 1. As always, let me know if there's any questions. Thanks.